surprising, but a couple of games to go. I think the big takeaway for the moment, though, Huskerrs, who was in 5th, now at 7th, Gorgonite moving up, Noobs dead center. That's the important part. We're seeing the shuffle now happen.
Sure. We are seeing some shifting. FIFA Kill making into top 10. I believe the first time we've seen FIFA Kill on the top 10 standings. Good on him for doing so. Aydan, even though they've been dropping off a little bit earlier, they're clearly getting eliminations. Therefore, that point multiplier when they do finish is taking into account. Sitting at a total of 41.8 points. Not bad at all from them. I still think a lot of the trios who have been dominant in World Series of Warzone over the next, 3 games, not being in game 4, are going to start working their way up. Biffle being a great example of that. But in Game 4, starting off with Biffle, why not the Game 4 winners?
Yeah, early kitted early on as well, and I think that's the big takeaway for this trio specifically is, again, getting back to baseline, establishing the rhythm they had at the end of Game 3, which was 2-3 eliminations at a point per minute. But here we go early on. Empathy will take down Biffle for the over-aggression down to the street corner. And with that, positioning should be in favor of the duo up top, but it's whether or not they have enough to be able to take that fight.
Empathy on your screen. Not too much going on at the moment. A bit of a differing viewpoint from what we saw in the beginnings, or at least the starting point from before with Huskerrs. You know, he's dropped a little bit late. He got kitted up. We kind of started that conversation. Very different for Brax and his team. But Empathy, back up he goes. He's got a good understanding where the team is at. And I think Brax and Finessin actually do get quite a few of them. He drops himself, and now you got, that's 2 down. Hold up, things start to get a little bit weird. Actually, that's Shifty. That was Empathy drop. My bad with a bit of a screen delay. But Space, this building, it is on fire.
It feels very reminiscent of what we had in Game 1 on the rooftops where teams were being traded. You had Destroy moving in, of course, Ken's Rosie taking down Jukies and company. But in this situation, right, couple of duos that do fall, the trio's still alive, trying to keep their teams involved. With that, should have ourselves an opportunity for Smixy and company to get what they were looking for and hopefully keep their numbers up. Late game was not their friend. It was up to Smixy to make the most out of being out of position in an awkward spot. Tumultuous waters as they might be, she still found a way to get into the placement, which was huge. And for the moment, they do have all numbers up. This should be helpful.
And brother, they got a ton of money as well. So UAVs galore. We've been seeing UAVs pop left and right, left and right. Another one's going to be bought in this moment just to have kind of in the inventory so they can use a little bit later. UAVs are so important. Look at the left map, right? The top left map. When the UAV pings, it's nothing but red dots. You know where every single person is at. So things start to get a bit dicey when you pop that. You see 3 members right next to you, but it at least helps you a little bit. Zyro is down. I expected a lot from him today, and I have got a lot, but I want a little bit more alongside him and King AJ and Louis CM. We're now on your screen. 15 plates, by the way, for King AJ. So he's not going to be running out anytime soon.
And Sean J, we haven't talked a lot about her today other than when we started our broadcast. Again, bounty on her head. So if you're able to collect it, again, more cash available for this trio. Cash will be a big factor moving into the late game. Super evident whether or not you want to, again, invest in some of those buy stations. It's entirely up to you. Comes down to timing, but some teams have elected just to bypass it altogether, move for positioning. Can't blame them. Super evident company who have been struggling to get out of some one-on-one gunfights when you're talking about the spread, the stack as a team. It's been very difficult for them, but they are still putting eliminations on the board. Another kill for him, 6 in a row early on. This is a great start.
Super Evan on your screen. Great guy. Love him to death. Wonderful competitor. Been playing Warzone for quite some time. Incredibly passionate about the game. Z-Colors, Super Evan, as well as Swagg, who's not competing today. DJ Moss is in his place. But this was a trio that qualified during the World Series Warzone just last week in a finals, and they did so in a spectacular fashion. Literally game number 6. They qualify in such a tense moment, and it was so special to watch and very special to them, I'm sure.
Reflections that had me ready to run through a brick wall. I was so excited. Evan is that kind of player, making those kinds of plays. That's why they pay him the Supermax over on XZ. But here we go. A couple of numbers that fall, and we start to reposition and move through the backline. Zone will close, but all things being even for the moment, it does look like numbers stay up, and that's important for Biffle and company. You want to keep at least 2 up at a time if you can. Once that resurgence closes, that's where things get dicey. But we've seen this before. They like to work on the outer edge, kind of gatekeep, and then once they get comfortable, they just pick people off as they rotate in.
That's right, pick people off. This is where Smixy was at, I think, when we were watching her try and live as long as possible when she was alone. Now Biffle takes the place. Might be a popular area, going for the redeploy, and the rooftop is marked. That's exactly where we're going. Sage is going to be the first one there. Shifty was already calling out, and Sage lands instantly finished, but luckily, though, the pickup is there for Biffle, so they'll wait for Sage to come back in, which the kill remember I talked about, if you get kills while the player is eliminated, the timer goes down and down. So instead of waiting 25 seconds, now you only have to wait 10 and so on and so forth. And that was a great example of that. Sage drops, Biffle gets the kill, Sage is already back in within 10 seconds.
And here's a quick update for you. Unsure of the situation, but for the moment, Finessin will be subbing in for Iceman Isaac. So Isaac will still be the captain, but Finessin will be playing in this event moving forward for today. So we'll hope to give you some updates further than that, but if you see a different change for that trio, that is why. For the moment, we bring our attention back to this screen and here for the Cronin in the hands of course, Biffle. How good he is repositioning, has shots in the back, but is able to escape, and not enough, as that will be a ridiculous gunfight through the window. He will not be able to win.
And won't win it, but he does have 2 teammates still alive. This has been a very, very tense fight for them. And Sage dropping again, right? Not a good feeling, but honestly, it's not the worst situation if your teammates are able to, you know, take out the team or take out the person that took you out. So that's going to be one elimination they'll be able to get. And maybe, you know, by getting the finish on the Sage, they put themselves in a bad spot. You never know how the situations work. But as far as Z-Smith, Hisoka, and Co. Skullface, this is a team that I definitely want to see move up the leaderboard too. I don't think they've had the best of luck so far, but Skullface has been the one we've been watching for the most part, Space. And I always find them at that same bridge by the water. This time, different scenery. So this is probably what he needed.
Well, third time's the charm. The third time was not the charm. So fourth time's got to be something different, and I think it's at least working out. You got 4 elims to your name. Still plenty of players up to fight over. And we saw this this positioning for Super Evan and company around game 1. This time he will fall, and with that, again, we will swing our attention back over to Z Colors, the last alive for the moment. And that's such a huge gunfight for him. How great this team's doing. The trio off the rip. You had like 6 elims for Evan. You cannot afford to go down here.
And afford to go down. Z Colors and them, they went down a little bit early in that last game. Actually, they were our first team to be eliminated, right, in game number 3. So game 4, they want to make the most of it. But now, it's up to Z Colors. Same spot he was in game 3. This time around, they've managed to outlive 2 total trios, but they definitely don't want to finish off in 17th. So staying alive as long as they can. Only 10 more seconds, but that could feel like an eternity if you get pressured.
Well, King AJ certainly sees something. The comms continue to light up. Puts out a couple of dangerous shots, but not enough to clean up the kill. At least you have the mark, so that's information that's useful, but just under 3 seconds till the zone closes. Luckily, everybody else is pretty much inside, but those shots are crispy as ever. The smoke will give you enough cover to dip out of dodge. You have a couple of plates to work through, so not a terrible situation to be in, but not great. Altitude game is not on your side, but those shots are looking for the cleanup, the follow, the pressure. Just can't find the kill.
And find it just yet. He'll go ahead and back away for the time being. This zone, by the way, coming up is going to be a chaotic one. Lots of water. Lots of water teams are going to have to deal with. So water fights galore. That's that Huskerrs coming into play, right? Saying he loves those water fights. We're about to see it full force. And that's why taking up this building is going to be important. I think even if you could just glide to land, you want to be on land instead of the water. And you can see how quickly Zyro & Co is going to go up top. Z Colors, good on him. He stayed alive long enough for DJ Moss as well as Super Evan to get back into the fight. But can they get some more eliminations? Let's find out.
I mean, this is a huge stabilization from that trio. But I think the question now is, all right, if water becomes a priority just for rotating, do you do it now or later? It's a lot like kind of going by a buy station. Do we just play that timing now or later? And when do you elect to make that move? Because you will be a target, regardless if anybody has eyes over. It's going to be a problem to get high game. It's going to be tough to get back up to the roof. But you can hear him saying, look, it's not a great position to be in, but at least we're just trying to make the most out of what we have available to us.
They've got a long way to go. They do have a vehicle if they want to go ahead and drive in, but up top, do they decide to go? Because there could be somebody up there. Loadout drop, though, that could be worth it. Up we go for Juki's. Great to see Juki. Haven't seen too much of him. We've seen Feet the Kill, we've seen Aydan, but Juki's the winner of the Stage 2 NA Finals. What a performance from him. A confident player, a guy that I expect to tear it up. It seems like this game has been the best game yet from him. He could skyrocket up the leaderboard.
Now you got no time. Now you got to make a move.
What is this game doing?
And at least you get a ping, so it seems like whether or not it's frustration or just the situation, victim of circumstance is what we like to call it. For the moment, 2 eliminations is really all you have to work with here, but FIFA kill, still alive, everybody up except for 1. as Wiz will be the only one out of this duo for the moment. Plenty of
that
time
was
to
dumb.
rotate, but Reflection's like, what do you do in this spot, right? Like, even if you're a new viewer, it's like, all right, well, where do I go? How would you break this down if you're this trio?
Well, you know, okay, so you're going to see one flying away. Maybe at this point, the team that was behind you, or at least you're thinking is going to be behind you, has already rotated out, so that gives you clear line of sight to go in. But now you're going to have to deal with the constant barrage of bullets from the players who are going to be in zone already set up, looking to stop the guys, you know, trying to run into zone. They're going to be the gatekeepers, and you got to deal with them. Plus, simultaneously worrying about a team behind you. It's not a comfortable spot, but it's a spot they're in, and a spot that they just have to deal with. Luckily for them, I think everybody in this lobby is very comfortable with putting up with the zone and having your back to it and playing with the gatekeepers. But in this case, for Huskerrs, it's not an easy task. Self-revive in. That's now gone. Smoke out. Oh, car behind him. Simtex out. A sliver of health. One bullet puts him down. Luckily, he stays alive. The smokes literally saving him.
That's why the smokes are so great. You can use them to flush, use them to escape, smoke the cross. As old as time in Call of Duty, and there you find it yet again. They will be up in full health, trying to make their mark inside the market, but this is where things get very, very dicey. But speaking of, there's only one way we want to know how it goes down. Surely the comms are just as hot. Let's do a listen-in with this trio.
I have another one too. This guy's bottom.
Okay. We just mirror these kids. They're giving us a free rotation. Don't look at them. Don't look at them.
Okay.
Watch this guy lower left tower.
Yeah, yeah.
Get a little bit ahead. We're not with you. It's a solo right here.
Okay.
How does he know?
Backing.
Other one's to the left. I saw front of the cart. Why did they turn around?
I'm gonna flash this guy.
They're getting grief. They're getting grief.
Nice.
Bro, why does he turn? I don't think I got to go for that either. Why does he turn around?
Fuck, man.
Why?
It's on me too.
Oh man, that is a tough one. You see the investment of the UAV, you're thinking, all right, it's just one player we have to take, but they couldn't swing the angle right. You get third party trying to third party as the grief was happening. Reflections, that is one you'd want back.
And it's a little bit different from what we saw from them in game number 2, where they were, you know, kind of staying on top of the rooftop, using the signal. That was something we complimented Huskerrs on. Game 3, it was a bit more scrappy. Game 4, they find themselves forced to run into the gatekeepers, the teams that are already within the safe zone, and it ended up, unfortunately, biting them in the end. So they're going to place 15th. They're not happy with that result, but 2 more games to go. They'll be back with a vengeance in game number 5. I'm absolutely sure of it. Meanwhile, storyline back onto Juki's space. We saw him a little bit earlier this time around. Last alive, right? And he's going to potentially have to bring back in his teammates if he can do so. Juki's very, very good in high stressful situations. This is one of those that I think he's going to excel in.
And this is about trigger discipline all the way through to the end game, right? Not taking a fight you're not ready for, a player rotating back in. Assume there's somebody stacking with them. Drill charge is going to be tough. And have to work through it as well. And that's going to be even more difficult with everything crashing into where you're at. Z-Smith will fall, but the self-revive will get him back into the play. And now it just comes down to, he picks up one, but eventually will drop. And there we go. As more trades happen, yeah, it's going to be frustrating for a lot of teams trying to reposition and just hold for the end game when they just don't have the numbers to work with.
That's right. Maybe we have placed 12, so I don't see how many elims they have, but I know Skullface at least had 7. Despite placing 12, they might still have had a great game depending on how many eliminations they were able to accumulate. Sage, same situation we just saw Skullface in. Last alive, trying to stay up for his roster. And this is what we start seeing when Resurgence ends. No more respawns are available. These solos just love to hang out in the corner, love the maneuverability. Down low we go. LMG's going to be out. Does he get the finish? He doesn't. And that's gotta be so frustrating for him. He made so many great plays, maneuvered very well, but ultimately couldn't connect the shots.
We wondered when the water would come into effect. You run the gauntlet of timing alone, but great shots as Breadman is able to connect for 2. Not enough to finish it. Maybe that Semtex does. Players moving up, and another collapse to the back line. The sentry falls forward. Blast City's still up, and now what do you make your mark? How do you move down and reposition onto this gunfight? It's absolute chaos for the moment, but they do have the altitude game, and here they go.
They had altitude. They're flying in. They're going in hot. Clear the bridge. They got the players down. They get the finish. Good on them for doing so. Breadman, he was talking trash in the general chat, and now he's backing it up, but takes a lot of damage. No self-revive, but can he get revived, his teammate? Or should we? That's an opponent dropping into the water. So now it comes up to his teammates here, Shadowwag as well as Nick Cole. Can they carry the torch? Potentially, but Shadowwag now last alive. Only one plate to his name. A lot of loot in front of him. He wants that, but more importantly, he wants to elim. And that's the perspective of Breadman, right? The different one. That's how Breadman fell. That Shadowwag in the water, trying to stay alive, but can he do it?
He's only got one elim. That was the chase there, and he can't. It's tough. It's difficult to make that rotation late when you don't have the plates to boot either. Everything else collapsing into the water. It was a perfect call. Reflections, you hit on it. The water's going to be crucial, and here it goes. And that's tough, but here we go. Back to the final 6.
Yeah, Zlaner down, forced to try it up, or try and stay up. Clutch belt. Res? No res at this point. You can't. It's just way too chaotic. We're down to just 3 trios left. The bridge has been held. Breadman, we saw his perspective a little bit earlier. We see it once again. Still trying to hold down as much as possible. And I'm actually so surprised he was able to get back up. So I guess from that perspective, Magnificent, right, who finished him off, or at least knocked him into the water, was forced to disengage. And that was Limax who ended up getting Breadman, or at least alleviating that pressure, getting Breadman back into the fight. Now you gotta assume this last guy is trying to heal off and stay alive down below. But do you risk it? Do you try to just hug the zone? Well, they're gonna have the equal advantage. Breadman goes for the move. Player down low. Limax goes for the elimination. Big kills down. Breadman and Co. win, and that's a solid 18 elimination game.
If the zone's not going to zone, the Semtex, the double Semtex, will zone for you. And then you just hope for just waiting the game to end. At that point, beautifully played by Breadman. Invest late, wait for your chance, stretch it out. Nicely done by this trio. And it came down to chaos on the bridge. They're able to get the self-revive off, keep the numbers up. You had one chase, you're able to clean it up. And that's where that nice, like, lazy Susan offense really works, right? The triangle that stacks together wins together. Nicely done in the end, and that is a huge game out of this trio, given everything and how the standings have jostled into position. What a way to end this game.
What a way to end the game. We've seen so much floating UAVs. We've seen teams kind of, hang back. Players like Z Colors stay alive with just a sliver of health, and now we just saw a potential hill, well, not necessarily a hill up, but at least one up top, one down below.
Zone off.
Do you push it the zone, right? I mean, like, who wins that? At that point, you have to push it. It would be just embarrassing for Breadman and Co. to just let that player win by just the grace of the Warzone gods. What an ending, though. Great job, Breadman, backing up the trash talk. And as I take a look at the leaderboard, Breadman and Co., where were they sitting at? I don't even see them actually on the top 10